Recording in progress.
Welcome to the Pride of Detroit PURRVIEW podcast, the POD cast, bringing you a very bad pun on the word preview. There were some questions about it last time. No, it is not named for me, Chris Perfett, although I can understand why people saw that. Chris Perfett at Chris Perfett on Twitter. No, it is purr, as in the sound the Lions do not make, because we don't think these things through. It is week 8. We're still getting questions about it, so this is clearly a wise decision on my part. Joining me once again is our talented panel here to help us break down the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions heading to Lambeau for their first meeting with the Cheeseheads this season in 2024. We're also going to talk a little bit about a very busy week for the Detroit Lions. A lot in the news to talk about, so let's get going. Let's introduce the crew. Jerry Mallory is back, one of my favorite men around. Jerry Mallory, NFL. Hi, Jerry.
What is going on? I thought it was PURRVIEW because when I suggested Mallory View, you said no. I thought it was kind of like you wanted your name in instead of mine, but no. I'm glad that's cleared up. What's going on, man?
No. We'll save that. We'll save that for the global domination when someone stupidly gives me a radio show at some point down the road. We'll save the jokes for my name then.
We're ready.
And Jerry will be the second name on there.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Brandon Knapp is also with it at BKnappBlogs with 2 P's. Hello, Brandon.
Hey, how's it going? Seems to be a good time to discuss the name stuff. So, Knapp sleeper picks. I got my topic in the podcast. So
I know
I got my stuff.
Yeah, I know. And
hey, that's kind of nice. I like that.
And of course, wonderful biscuits. No?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, he says as I start to veer off here. I'm going to stop doing this. We're just going to get right into it because we've got a lot to get to this week when it comes to the Detroit Lions. The week that is a lot of Lions fans sitting around waiting for a trade, getting a little antsy as other trades happen around the NFL, especially as a couple teams get picked apart for parts. I think we talked about it a little bit on the POD cast as we watched the Cleveland Browns as they picked up only their second win of the year. If that hurt things, our opinion was no, that they might still be sellers at the end of the day. That said, it takes 2 to tango right now, and whatever the Lions are looking for, the deal has not been sealed just yet, Jerry.
Well, the thing about that is you have to sit back. You have to kind of realize what's going on. I feel like patience is, not a virtue for fans. Patience is not a virtue even for media sometimes. You see your friends having fun. We're thinking bigger than like NFC. Like we're looking at the Ravens now. We're looking at the Chiefs. And it's like, man, they're having fun. The Bills have had fun. Minnesota, that kind of, they addressed Christian Durasol like immediately, like 2 days after the injury. So, yeah, you kind of look back, you sit, you think about it, and it's like all my buddies are having fun. I want to get out the house and play too. But, I mean, we've got a week. I was hoping maybe somebody was going to come in for the Packers game. But, part of me is just like, be cool, be patient. I do think they'll address it this year for sure, unlike last trade deadline.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the most annoying thing is you're seeing all these trades go through and you're just wondering when is Detroit going to make a move? Like they have a deadline, it's coming up here on Tuesday next week. And that they've given all these players on this roster plenty of chances. And it feels like you kind of already know that none of them have stepped up to the plate enough that they don't need to make a trade. So it'd be, better of an assumption to get the trade out of the way, let's go. But it seems like maybe some teams are holding on maybe an extra week if they can maybe have a playoff push like the Bengals and Trey Hendrickson. Maybe after winning a game, some reason the Browns believe Zadarius Smith is something to hold on to. But I really think after this week, you'll probably see some deals come down Monday, maybe even at the deadline exactly on Tuesday.
Yeah, there's a couple teams that I think are kind of circling that drain in that regard too. The Jacksonville Jaguars, Tennessee Titans are probably already there. I think the Lions also. This is kind of the hard part, is what the talent the Lions are looking for right now is a vast premium position that no one really likes to let go. It's you know, setting the edge. I think they want to keep with Trevor Nowaski at the Sam. You know, we'll see what they do with Muhammad, but clearly they need another piece besides him. We've talked, I think, for like at least 5 weeks about how thin on D-line depth is. So it does bear that even if you like your guys, it behooves you to still get a defensive end or an outside linebacker capable of rushing the pass that will be something to help bolster your roster. Lions, I believe, had like 2 open spots moving into the week. They filled one of those with a little bit of movement, and we'll see where things go here. But I'm with you guys. I think it's probably likely to see something happen probably after the Packers game. And that will mean that whoever comes in probably doesn't play the next week, so don't expect to see them against the Houston Texans, and they probably get eased in on a Jaguars in middle of November.
You know, Dan Campbell did bring up a point to that, though, Chris. I could see limited snaps versus Houston. I forget who asked them, but, you know, they were talking about different positions and which ones are kind of easy to get with the program. And he did admit, he said, yeah, defensive end is one you can plug and play more than most positions. You know, see the quarterback, get the quarterback, set the edge. I'm not trying to oversimplify the position, but I think if we bring somebody in, I could see a limited snap count. I could see 20 snaps when Zadarius Smith or whatever the player is. I don't want to get too much into the names.
We're still wish listing some names. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I know. Until then, I'm just rooting for all those teams to lose. Like, that's been my rooting guide. You know, down with the Raiders, down with the Browns, Jaguars, you know, Titans keep losing. All those teams, you know, like you said, if they can get in that position where they're like, yeah, the season's completely over. And the big one, the Bengals, because of Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah, just one more punch to the face, really, for some of these teams. So, unfortunately, you know, you mentioned the Bengals and Raiders, and both those teams play each other there. But I think if I'm going to root for anyone, as much as I would like my Raiders prediction with Fox Sports Radio come true, I think I'd like to see the Bengals lose. There was another bit of news this week that we should talk about just a little bit. We're not going to touch too deeply on it because it involves some legal issues that we're not, you know, cut out to talk about. I've talked to a lot of legal friends, and I have some armchair interest in a lot of these kind of proceedings. But Jameson Williams, WXYZ in Detroit, put out something that local police were reopening I believe a warrant. It's very funny. So from what I understand, this was not an issue at the time of the incident, but then they were looking into why officers let Jameson Williams go from a traffic stop with a unsecured concealed weapon, with some questions about the concealed carry permit. Either way, it was not secured. We're not going to talk about the legal side of it. There's a lot of reasons this kind of stuff gets muddy, and a lot of stuff that Williams has not been proved of anything right now, and the National Football League itself not commenting further due to the legal process. Jameson Williams, of course, still serving a 2-game suspension for PES violations, and he's going to come off that after this Packers game. I think there might be some concerns down the line that this leads to more suspensions, but I don't see it during the season itself. These things tend to draw out quite a while. But I think the big question is a matter of Jameson Williams and the team. Now, Dan Campbell has stood by him. I know some fans out there in media. This is another log to add to the pile questioning Jameson Williams, but I don't see this as any bigger issue right now. I know there's some reasons to question as far as decision making, but to be honest, there's nothing really to discuss in that regard. And some guys just get a bad. I don't want to put the PES thing on him. Is basically what it comes down to. Is like a lot of people are trying to take this position that is like, well, it's 3 strikes now. No, the PES, that could be anything at this point. The NFL comes around and collects this kind of stuff all the time, and getting dinged for this stuff has hit a very automated nature. So I want to wait for this to play out, but if Dan Campbell says he's standing by Jameson Williams, there's really no reason for a lot of fans to question that.
I'm going to push back a little bit on this.
Okay.
I don't see it the same way. You know, with Campbell, I believe him. I think, you know, they're going to support him. But what is he going to say? I mean, he's not going to get on the thing and say, I'm done with this guy. We plan on cutting him. I mean, he has to say he supports him. I do think he supports him at the same time, too. But, I mean, he's not going to say something different. Like you said, I don't want to get into the legal thing, and I think I spent enough time on my group chat yesterday. I'd be fine if I never talked about this particular gun situation again. But, you know, there's a trend in behavior, and at the very least, it's bad decisions. Not knowing things, not knowing what you can gamble on, not knowing what you can take. You know, you listen to some of the interviews, some of the athletes that I heard over this past week. If they put anything in their body, they're contacting a trainer or somebody, like they're contacting somebody. Jameson has to make better decisions because I don't think he's just young, because the whole NFL is young. Our roster is young. To me, he's making bad decisions. Bottom line, whether the intent is ill, whether he's a bad person or not, he's making bad decisions. That could be a maturity thing. He needs someone in his life to guide him in the right direction, because we can blow this gun thing out of the way, but the reputation is starting to build. And I don't think he's just the most unlucky guy in the NFL. He has to make better decisions. I'm a little harsher towards some of the things that he's done. And because selfishly, it's going to cost him games. And I'm a Detroit Lions fan. I want the best for him, no matter what team he's on. But especially now, and selfishly, we're in the Super Bowl run, he's got to make better decisions. And he has to take the blame. Every single one of these incidents is his fault, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm a little in both of your guys' paths here. I agree 100% with Jerry over there on the gambling, the PES being on him, because I understand the gambling is definitely something that the NFL has expanded on. I'm trying to explain and doing stuff, so they could have definitely done better, but he's got to learn those rules. Okay, he's a young rookie. He's learning things. Let him, get in trouble for it, whatever. The PES one aggravates me just because if it's something that you're okay to have, as long as you talk to, your doctor, get your prescription, you send it to the NFL, you get cleared, that's fine. Why didn't you do that? It's a simple procedure that a bunch of other people do. That's why I just don't get just the lack of awareness. So, and I'm not worried what he's taking. That part I don't really care about. It's just the more of, this is your job. This is what you're supposed to do and report these things, and you're not doing it. Why? Is it just you're just lazy? You're just not paying attention? You're not following the rules? I don't really know. And then regarding the whole gun thing, like I said, I don't, like everyone said here, we don't know anything about this stuff legally. But it just seems like just another dumb decision. I'm just going to flat out say dumb. Like you just can't be like that. You got to know what your future is. You got to know what your job is. And you got to, be accountable for that. And I'm one that's been on the JMO train since day one. I've had a bunch of friends ever since he even got drafted. We're like, why did we draft him? This guy, he doesn't like Detroit on draft night, when a lot of people criticized him. And it's just that everyone looks into it, but now he's giving them reasons to look into it. And that's what's frustrating, is that he's feeding the flames, and that's just not good. So I'm going to wait till the facts come out on this one. I can't really take a stance here, but he definitely needs to figure some stuff out. I mean, I get he's young, but he should have a better core, like Jerry was saying. And I know he was hanging out with Teddy Bridgewater, and he said Teddy helped him. But now I'm starting to question, did Teddy really help him? Was he just saying that? Because it doesn't seem like that's really stuck through so far this season.
I just don't see it as anything I can tie all these things together into a mathematical equation, I guess, at the end of the day. On the gambling thing too, that, from what I remember, was in a hotel, which I guess at that point that counts as an NFL facility at that moment if your team stays in a hotel, which is still to this day fairly laughable, but part of that's a technicality gets started. PES, fine, whatever. Again, a lot of guys get popped on this stuff. It's dumb to not know what you're putting in your body sometimes, but the rules on these things, just I see it as, I don't want to call it bad mileage or even bad luck. It's not something that has me terribly worried. I wish I could comment further on this issue. I don't think we're actually going to get the full matter of this, because legal cases like this, even if the police department does decide to continue on this investigation, and for whatever reason, originally he was released from custody after the officers had planned to detain him, and nothing happened. And I believe the investigation is into those matters. If it goes to a trial at some point, if it goes to any kind of legal process, I don't know. I think it's not something you have to worry about Jameson Williams being out for more of the season, unless the NFL decides it wants to hand out a further suspension at the end of the day. And I think that's the big concern, but also at the same time, I think the NFL understands that this is a long, drawn-out procedure. It still might not amount to anything to begin with. So it's totally in the league's purview. This is kind of the might of the shield and it has Jameson Williams at its mercy. And for now, it's just very mum on it. I'm not going to, prognosticate one way or another whether more suspensions will be handed down. But, for the time being, the Lions are making it work without Jameson Williams and the deep threat. Certainly Khalif Raymond has been the beneficiary of some of those touches that I think normally we would see for JMO. So I think that, yeah, what's up?
No, I'm like 2 weeks late. I think on a purview before I said Khalif Raymond was going to have a breakout game. I meant last week. I was just a couple.
Well, we didn't have a purview last week, so we'll retroactively give that to you. If we had one, I am sure you would have, as always, Jerry brought the thunder on Leaf, because man, is he hot right now? Being one of those that I remember after the Titans game, Dan Campbell gave all the props to, said, "Hey man, I was talking with Holmes. This guy is like a special teamer. What do you think of him?" And I'm like, "Sure, bring him in." And the rest is history. Let's talk some injuries. So the big one remains to see whether or not two ones really. Malcolm Rodriguez, who left the game on Sunday. He has not practiced on either Wednesday or Thursday. I believe the last report we saw from him was week to week. We record on Thursdays, these purviews, so check the Friday report, but trending in the wrong direction for Malcolm Rodriguez, which continues to thin out a front seven very well decimated right now. Not helped either by the fact that Mekhi Wingo was added to Thursday in limited practice with an ankle injury. Still expect to see him play, but suddenly seeing him is not great, especially since Josh Paschal is still on a second week with a illness, I believe, Jerry?
Yeah, they don't disclose that, which is good. A lot of times when you see those illnesses, they'll miss, a week, or they'll miss, portions of the week in practice, but they come back. But yeah, his has been lingering. So yeah, like you said, that front seven is thin. We can't risk to lose anybody. I don't care if it's, the guys we just signed from the practice squad, Isaiah Thomas. We kind of need all hands on deck. We're going to talk about this Packer offense pretty soon. No matter what quarterback is out there, they've been explosive. So, yeah, that defense is just getting thinner and thinner. So, not the greatest of news in this big game.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, Josh Paschal did say, he had a, annual visit with his doctor, and something came up that kind of, alerted him. So that's why he's taken some time off. So hopefully, he'll be back next week. Like you were saying, Jerry, this team definitely needs all hands on deck on that defensive line. So losing him would definitely not be helpful in this matchup specifically.
Yeah, Lions don't really have much left to rush passer. Thankfully, I believe on the Packers injury report, we'll once again wait to see. I know center guard Josh Myers hasn't practiced for 2 days, although their big injuries seem to be once again at quarterback and a question of Jair Alexander. I believe there was some questions on Quay Walker, but he had cleared concussion protocol and is at full practice this week.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I'm sorry, Chris. Cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I was thinking about mentioning this, debating whether I was or not, because I didn't want to be insensitive, but I don't think it's insensitive. It's just information. Some people might not remember that Josh, and I'm not saying this is what the illness is. I'm just mentioning that he did have the cancer. He is a cancer survivor, and even sometimes with cancer, other offshoot illnesses can spring up. We don't know what it is. I hope it's nothing related to that. like I said, I was debating whether I should mention that or not, but I just think it's
No,
informational.
it's
It's part of
yeah.
his, part of his history, his
Yeah,
self history.
we're not going to comment on the illness. I think it's funny for me seeing illness. I guess maybe because it is still coming off the COVID pandemic. When I see illness, especially after 2 weeks, my mind starts to go certain places. But obviously, they're not going to tell us what it is, and we just have to wait and see where it comes to Pascal. Um, the Lions could certainly use his pass rushing right now because it's tough out there. That said, the nice thing, at least of the Titans game, is that you did see some snaps out there for Trevor Nowaski and for Muhammad. Excuse me. For Al Qadim Muhammad, really to try to get at least some up to speed. Up to that NFL speed, which is really tough middle of the year. It's always tough at this point where, you're just struggling for bodies and you've got a bunch of guys who have at best been taking practice squad snaps.
Yeah, especially when the teams all gel together, they played weeks, multiple weeks. They know that they can trust, certain people to do certain things. When you have someone new in there, you don't know if you can trust them or not. That's what the whole, just do your job. Don't try and rely on others. Don't worry about everybody else. So it's definitely tougher in the middle of the year to kind of join a team and kind of take a role.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to move on to the game itself, talk about some matchups, talk about a big question facing the Lions. I did mention the injury for Jordan Love, and I guess the question is Lions are going to have to prepare for both quarterbacks. But what does our panel want to see? Do they want to see Malik Willis and risk the wrath of Ryan Matthews by saying something bad about him? Or do you want to see Jordan Love and risk everyone in the media's favorite darling quarterback, even though he hasn't been playing very well to start the season? We'll be right back on PURRVIEW from PODcast. Welcome, everybody. Oh my God, I am waking up now, finally. When the weather gets cold, you just start to just kind of forget about a lot of things.
We can't relate in Michigan right now, man. We got this heat wave going on. So
Heat
Yeah,
wave.
today's the last day of it, really.
Oh, that's
We have
it.
a couple days next week. We have a couple days next week, but it's supposed to be like rainy, like Monday and Tuesday, at least by me.
Yeah. No,
But,
you're right. I saw that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But I'm just glad it's not raining out for all the kids on Halloween tonight. I was feeling bad for them. So I'm glad that I was able to enjoy the trick-or-treating.
Yep. Especially since tonight's Thursday night game is spooky. I don't like it.
It is the Jets playing. So
Why do we keep getting the Jets on TV, man? This sucks.
It's because Aaron Rodgers. Come on. It's Aaron Rodgers.
We did this last year with the
Yep.
with the Denver Broncos, didn't we?
We also did it with the New York Jets
With the
because
Jets,
Aaron
too.
Rodgers.
Yeah.
they
But
got
then
Zach Wilson.
But it was
Yeah.
more egregious with the Denver Broncos. I think the Jets they cleared
Bronco
the Jets
country.
ones pretty quickly, but because of how big the Denver Broncos fan base is, that one took a little bit longer to excise from the body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Man, that was bad. Both of those.
absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, guess who's the offensive coordinator at the Jets now? Nathaniel Hackett.
Did he get demoted?
Did he get demoted?
I thought he did. I thought someone was saying that he got demoted, unless I just heard
That's
wrong.
Aaron Rodgers' boy. They're out here.
I
demoting.
know. Let me look it up.
They really are not fun to watch. That's the big thing. Is like, I have to imagine the Lions don't need a receiver right now, but I'd be inquiring about Garrett Wilson if I could, if I really wanted one.
They said they got calls on him. The Jets did as soon as Devontae came. So
Yeah,
I
clearly,
mean, you got to call about somebody that good. You got to
no,
call.
clearly, Aaron Rodgers isn't going to throw the kids away either. Like
Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers' entire MMO is my guys.
Nathaniel Hackett did get demoted. He is not the play caller.
Oh,
Play caller, that was it. Okay.
Yep.
Sure. Okay, that'll fix it.
There's so many things that I'm loving that they're just destroying because I don't like the Jets fan base. I grew up in a Patriots household, so I already don't like the Jets.
I just don't like New York, period. Last night was very sexy for me.
Yeah, I did like last night. My buddy was been rooting for the Yankees the entire time after the Tigers got eliminated. and we were at a Halloween party. He's asking everybody who's rooting for the Yankees, and everyone's like, no, nobody was rooting for the
Who
Yankees
roots for
but
the
him.
goddamn? Okay, so I
His,
mean,
his,
I'm a little
his,
Not
yeah,
me,
sorry,
but
sorry.
yeah, I got some friends.
his reasoning was because of the history and how they're the best franchise. You gotta root for the best. And I was like, so we're all Packers
So
or Steelers or Cowboys fans based off of that?
Yeah,
yeah.
Come on.
Like I don't like the
ridiculous.
Mets because they're posers. And like I hate the idea of any team claiming they're an underdog when they represent New York effing City. On the flip side, yeah, that's the evil empire over there. That's the bleeding evil empire.
Yeah.
Like my dad is a Cardinals fan, and obviously I'm Tigers. So like I can't root for those damn bastards. I'm sorry. Like I never will, never ever will. And I hated that for 24 hours. I knew the name Austin Capobianco and what he was famous for, and the fact that like people were writing puff pieces about this jackwagon.
Hey, yeah, I've got a friend. Now, I've only known him for about 5 years, and he swears that these were his favorite teams, like even in the 90s. He's a Detroit sports fan, but he's also just ironically a fan of the Yankees, the Patriots, and the Golden State Warriors.
Wow, that
I'm like,
is
dude.
as close as you can get to the meme.
I'm like, dude. Oh yeah, I send him that jacket all the time in the group chat with like all the teams and I give him
Let me
the
guess.
bandwagon.
Let me guess. He really has a soft spot for Duke basketball.
No, he's Michigan through and through. So I don't think
okay.
he has like a team B in anything NCAA, but it's just like, dude, how convenient that, these uber successful teams, and he's like, oh, I liked them when they had Drew Bledsoe and I liked them when it was Run TMC. I'm like, why? You're from Detroit. So
Nobody
I gave him a hard time about the Yankees.
Nobody roots for him. Remembering Drew Bledsoe. That's cap. Nobody remembers Drew Bledsoe.
Right.
I'm
Especially this big Michigan fan. Like, okay, Brady, I'll give you that while you might like the Patriots. But it was nice seeing them lose. I mean, the Dodgers, are they that much better, though? I mean, I look at these crazy rosters and these $500 million players, and it's like, hey, the Tigers had a great run, but you gotta spend the money. I mean, you have offshoot teams here and there, but
and guess what? The Tigers are one of the cheapest teams. Here's the thing. I have no sympathy for the Tigers being cheap. That's a sport without a salary cap. You go spend.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Like that's why I was actually loved this series, because I'm like, you know what? I'm so tired of hearing about Moneyball out here. I'm so tired about, teams thinking they can make it cheap with their farm systems.
Good point.
Put some fire under their ass and show them because that was probably the best World Series we've had in years. All right. Probably since the Cubs were in the World Series. And that was because the Cubs were like, that's a first time in a bajillion years kind of deal. Like, I love that. I loved that. They had real stars to watch between Soto, Judge, Flaherty, Giancarlo, Garrett Cole, Ohtani, the biggest name in the whole damn world, Mookie Betts, like Freddie Freeman doing his best Kirk Gibson impression. Like, the only thing that was bad about it was that it was a 5-game series. Yeah. That I was hoping that we'd go back to New York and get like 2 Yankees wins to even up the series and then get some fireworks down the line. But you know what? I got to give some credit to my friend Bo, who covers the Dodgers. He was right, because they were running out of arms. If the Dodgers hadn't won last night, you might be in line to see the first reverse sweep in the World Series, because they were running out of bullpen very quickly.
Yeah, that was key. I thought it went 6 though, right? It
went 5. It was a gentleman's sweep.
It went 5. Okay, I thought it went 6.
Last night was the Dodgers win, but then the night prior was the first game at Yankee Stadium, and that was a Yankees win.
Got you.
I mean, a Dodgers win. No, wait, Yankees win. No, wait. No, there were 3
It was
games
a second.
second game.
Yeah, it was a second game. Yep.
Yeah, I'm an idiot. But that was the Capobianco game. That was the hey, let's go and assault Mookie Betts. He's trying to make a play. Hold him up by his arm like we're crucifying him.
That was hilarious.
It was, but it's also scary. It's not behavior I want to see from fans ever.
Yeah, it was. I don't know the name of the guy. He's legendary. I should know his name, but the guy for the Cubs back in the 80s.
Oh no! Well, not in the 80s. He was like the 2000s.
70s?
No,
Really? Okay. Wow. Okay. All right. But yeah, it was like this This version
No,
of
no, that
him.
was Steve
Yeah.
Bartman. That was Steve Bartman.
Steve Bartman.
But I mean,
Bartman.
the difference
the
in that
radio.
is Bartman grabbing that ball hurt the Cubs.
Yeah.
Capobianco going out
Was trying to
there
help his
and
team.
mugging. Yeah, but it's way over the line. Is the
Oh,
problem.
100%.
It's
100%.
Way, you're actually in the process of trying to injure the player.
Yeah. Because like Bartman went to go catch the ball that could have been caught. This guy went to grab the glove with the ball already in it
ripping
and trying
the ball
to
away
hold.
from Betts.
Yeah, like is completely just like way over the line. Like, what are you doing?
Did you see? Yes. So this guy
Classic.
did go to high school with Rob Gronkowski as well, because.
Oh
nice.
my gosh!
But I was more as
I like it.
as a bona fide West Pennsylvania Italian. I'm just like, really, his name's Capobianco. A Yankees bleacher creature in outfield is named Capobianco. No, his name cannot be Capobianco.
Couldn't write it.
His veins are oozing with olive oil. What are we doing here?
Steve Bartman. That's a throwback.
Man.
Was it Moises Alou that he interfered with? I'm trying
Was
to
that?
get my 90s baseball. I was a much bigger fan of baseball in the 90s. I
love
feel like
that.
Moises Alou.
Yeah, it was Moises Alou. That was the Marlins series.
Yeah.
And then I remember I think like the next inning or whatever, like that Miguel, or like, was it then either the next inning or the next batter? No, it was the next batter. So like, even though Bartman interfered, they got the out. But then the next batter, I believe, was Miguel Cabrera, a young Miguel Cabrera with the Marlins, who then like, I forget what, I think he's rocketed like he got an RBI off the play.
Mm-hmm. Good old days.
No,
that had to be what, the 03 Marlins?
That was 03. Yeah, they won the World Series that year.
Yeah.
But that was a very young. And speaking of Miguel Cabrera, who was it Roger Clemens he faced in that World Series?
I think so.
Yeah, like because Clemens did his very famous like, I'm gonna buzz this kid inside real close, knock him off his ass, and then the next pitch, Cabrera like skied a real beaut off of him.
Old Miggy. I remember when he came, and I'm telling my buddy about it. He did not watch baseball at all. He's like, explain this to me in basketball terms. I'm like, it's like the Pistons getting Kevin Garnett. For some reason, I remember the exact scenario. I remember where I was when we got him. I was in my bedroom chilling. I mean, just what a legend. What a legendary trade to make, to get someone that young, that good. And Dontrell Willis. Don't forget, we got him.
And Dontrell Willis, yes.
He didn't last as long, but
yeah.
It was good.
I miss those Tigers years. This was a very fun. I mean, again, usually it's fun because I think the last few years, if I started talking baseball, people look at me funny. But you're right, like Jerry. I think baseball really. I kind of compare contrast to how this is with the early season basketball, where everyone's bitching about how many 3-point shots everyone's taken, about Joel Embiid and Kawhi Leonard sitting out. You need to do things. I agree with Nick Wright. If you haven't seen his video, you have to do things to make a good TV product. Baseball did a lot of things to make a good TV product. And besides the fact that it only won 5 games, I think they were rewarded for it. They have stars again. Now they're concentrated in a couple of teams. You'd like to see some of those stars make it to some other teams at some point. But you had, as we talked about, Ohtani, Soto, Judge. You had all these guys. You had a pitch clock that worked. You killed the shift, which was embarrassing to watch. And you've muddled a little bit with the mound and the ball, and people like it again.
Yep. I like the pitch clock, man. It's been good. Like,
yeah.
Older you get, you just don't have time to invest. When you're young, I watched every Detroit sport, every single game, and you get older and you have to economize your time. So anywhere to make like a 3-hour and 30-minute game, 2 hours, 45 minutes, all day. Sign me up.
I could see hating it if I went to a game itself, because I've been told like if you're trying to go between innings or whatever, to take a leak or something, or if it's the bottom of the order, you want to get some food, like it moves too quickly now.
It does.
When you're there, like at the game, but also I can't afford to go to games anymore because baseball games have gotten expensive. But I think sorry, go on, Brandon.
I was just saying, I don't know if it works in LA, but that's when you buy the cheap nosebleeds and then just sit wherever you want. It works in Detroit.
Parking's still expensive. Parking's still crazy.
That's fair.
I will say, to bring it back full circle to the NFL, I mean, that's what makes the NFL so great, too, is they do not mind monkeying with the rules quite a bit to make sure it stays a good television product. Might need a monkey with it again, given the quality of officiating. That's the one thing where the NFL doesn't monkey with stuff, and I kind of hate it. It's like, hey, can we get some more support for officials? Like more time or a better playbook, a rule book, and it just never happens.
Yeah.
But I think if it ever declined the way that the NBA's opening night ratings declined, absolutely it would.
Yep. And I don't think the NBA's little mid-season tournament is really drawing the people in.
I've turned into kind of a full-on NBA hater at this point. I hate where this sport's going.
I like the playoffs.
I like team ball, I guess, and that's kind of my biggest frustration, that there's nothing between a 3 and a dunk at this point.
Threes and dunks. I
know. Also, though, NBA guys have been arrogant, so I like to see this a little comeuppance. I love watching them wring their hands about Tua, and I'm like, yeah, no, but I've got the superior sport now. Anyway. We can talk a little bit more, but we should get back into it because we do have a primetime game to get to. Anything else on your radar besides the Lions game for this weekend?
Look at the schedule. I haven't made my parlay yet, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't like talking about officials. I know what's his last name?
I think it's
Clete Bakeman.
I know he's
officiating
the game. I don't want to talk.
I was gonna bring it up and I forgot to. So
you can bring it up. I just hate official talk. Like I think we get very doomer about it, and we don't need to get doomer about it. But I don't know. Like I know officials it's a tough job, but also like Lions fans when they see certain official, like which officials crew hasn't screwed the Lions at this point?
Right.
At least once.
I just, for some reason, feel like because, the progresses we've made, at least for me internally, we've exercised a lot of those old tropes. Even the referee one, I've watched some games with some of my friends. I feel like the first game last year against Kansas City, and I heard the referee talk, and I'm like, guys, we either win or lose. So it doesn't matter. Like the referee thing, I'm over it. So yeah, I'm with you, Chris. I don't care who's refereeing, man. We gotta win. That's it.
I don't think we talked about it because we've been off a little bit, but the Vikings game.
Oh yeah.
You want to talk about an exorcism? The fact that 1 second back on the clock doesn't fuck up the Lions.
Yep.
Even though they weren't supposed to get a second back on the clock.
Yeah, that was bad. That was bad. I mean, they're always tinkering with the rules. And we're clearly finding out new rules every single year.
All the time.
Yeah, we're still seeing it. What's a runoff? What's not a runoff?
Too. Like the Vikings got hosed tremendously by learning that you cannot discover on replay a face mask.
Yeah, that was bad, man. Funny, but it was still bad. You hate to see a game end that way. It's like, okay, cool, the Rams won. We want that, but just as a football fan, you hate to see it end that way.
I didn't think Sam Darnold was going to march down the field, but I at least wanted to see him try because that would have been funny.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I want funny end of games, like the Commanders throwing a Hail Mary on the Bears while Tyreek Stevenson is jawing with a fan so much he can't even see what's going on.
Yeah, it was stupid. That was so dumb.
I'm curious how much longer Eberflus has there, but
it has to be this year or bust. Like he has to do something or he's gone.
No. I think he's gone after the end of this year, no matter what. But the Bears famously don't get rid of coaches mid-season, and
it'd be end of season. I don't think it'd be mid-season. Yeah,
they're still off to an okay start. It's just you keep watching the games they're winning, and you're like, how the hell has this team winning games?
Yeah, it's coming. That downfall is coming for them. I think everyone can see that. The only thing that might offset it a couple of games is, Caleb Williams will get better as a rookie. But yeah, like you said, Chris, you look at the games they won.
Well,
their downfalls on the way.
Yeah, they haven't hit the rough part of their schedule. Like I know they got to go on the road to play the Cardinals this weekend, but then they get the Patriots. But then it really starts when they have to play Packers, Vikings, at Lions, at 49ers, at Vikings, Lions, Seahawks, at Packers.
Yep. Like they got the toughest schedule.
That's a schedule where they could crash.
Yeah. Anyway. Us and them, we have the two toughest schedules to end the year.
No, the Vikings do too. Everyone in the NFC North is backloaded.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough.
All right, let's get back into it. We've talked quite a bit. Thank you all who stick around and listen to us banter, because I like talking sports. And I see your messages in there, too. And I like Tactile Puma, Trey Flowers, about to get another hands to the face on Sunday. But let's get back to it. Layout. Because I do want to watch this tonight, because the Jets still do have a decent enough defense. And very quietly, the Houston has not been good at protecting C.J. Stroud.
I've got Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, so I will be invested.
I got C.J. Stroud.
I have Lazard on the bench. I think I have Tank. Oh, no, wait. Tank Dell is out for the season, right?
No, Stephon Diggs is out for the season.
So I had Stephon Diggs in one league, and I panicked, but I have Tank Dell in another league. So
I think Dell's injured, though, not out for the season. He might.
Nico's on IR. He'll be back next week.
No, I think Dell's playing.
He's playing. Okay.
I would have seen something if he wasn't playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he doesn't even have an injury designation tonight. So, but man, there's been some just rough injuries this year. We should get back to it. I would advise, though, in gambling talk, take the under tonight. Welcome back to the preview, PURRVIEW, POD cast from Pride to Detroit, as we get you ready for Lions at Packers, the Week 8 matchup. That is for the top of the NFC North. It's tight. This entire division is so damn tight right now. The Bears losing gave a little bit of ground near the bottom. The Vikings, of course, have now lost to the Rams as well. Either way, though, I expect Lions, Packers, Vikings to be slamming it pretty much through the entire season. I know there's some points where Lions fans expect one of these teams to get exposed. I don't see that happening anytime soon. All these teams are playing about the same schedule, which means that a lot of it is NFC North backloaded, which means the Lions have their work cut out for them in that regard. But it's not like, the Vikings get to play the same AFC South teams the Lions do too. Yeah, it's going to be rough. But the good news, 3 wild cards.
Definitely going to be a bloodbath. I think, us and the Packers at the end of the day are going to be the top 2. So this game has a lot of importance. When you can steal these road games like we did against Minnesota, if we can steal this one, then they got to come back here. So not counting the Vikings out, but I think the top 2 is going to end up being us and the Packers in some order.
Yeah, and it's good to get that road win if they can win. Early in November. I'd rather play in Lambeau in November where it's not that cold out. I know it's supposed to rain, but I'd rather play that than all of the frozen tundra negatives. The snow. That's just a lot better environment for Detroit to play in earlier rather than later.
It's tough too, because that Packers, even though the Packers will be coming to Detroit later on, it is at the tail end of basically the Lions playing 3 games in 11 days. In a very unprecedented back-to-back Thursday night games between Thanksgiving to Thursday Night Football, and then the Sunday prior to Thanksgiving, making up that 3 games in 11 days is it's a lot. It's a lot for any team to handle. So we'll see how that all goes, and hopefully we'll see some reinforcements for the Lions in one way or another. When we left off before the break, we were talking about some Packers injuries. Jordan Love was back, limited in practice on Thursday, and I think it's going to remain a question mark whether or not he's going to play for this game. He did suffer a groin injury, but I guess from what I understand from what happened in their previous game, it wasn't one that it could have been a lot worse, basically. So it does, however, leave up in the air whether the Lions will see Jordan Love or they'll see Malik Willis. Now, usually when we're talking about a backup, it's like, fine, whatever. But Malik Willis, of course, has started some games this year and has looked a lot better than when he looked when he was playing for the Tennessee Titans. So I guess the question is that who are the Lions preparing for? I think the answer to that is if you're good about this, you're preparing for both. But let me ask you, Brandon, who do you think the Lions would rather see between Jordan Love, who has been their starter but has kind of looked uneven in a few places, or Malik Willis, who is, very good on the ground and a bit of a wild card?
I would definitely say Malik Willis compared the two, just because while he is definitely a better dual threat quarterback than Jordan Love, and he's not dealing with a groin injury, it's just the fact that when I was looking up some information about this game, I noticed that whenever Malik has started so far this year, it's been 2 games. Green Bay has run heavily more with him at quarterback than when Love's at quarterback. So if they're going to rely on the running game, Detroit has a better run defense in the secondary, and I think that would kind of play into their strengths better than playing against these wide receivers. And I wrote an article today that talked about how that is definitely the biggest challenge for Detroit is taking on these wide receivers. So if it's someone like Malik Willis who's not going to throw the ball 30 times a game, like to throw about 15, 20 times, and then Green Bay can run 25 to 30, I think Detroit has a better chance to win that game if Malik's at quarterback.
I'm with Brandon on that one. Malik has been good, at 2-0, and he's a fine backup. Our buddy Ryan is the president of the Malik fan club. I don't think I was vice president, but I was somewhere in office. I liked him. I'm still a fan of him. I think, he's been fine, but Jordan Love's better, plain and simple. And so then you go, okay, is it a hobbled Jordan Love versus a healthy Malik Willis? Which one do you? And I'm still going to say I'd rather face Malik Willis. I still think that Jordan Love, and he's thrown some interceptions, but he's thrown a lot of touchdowns too. He's like, bang or bust, bang and bust, in one game, but he's still the better quarterback between the two. And even in terms of defending mobile quarterbacks this year, I guess I'm thinking the biggest one was Kyler Murray. And we were worried about that. How was he going to do? That has been our Achilles heel for a while. We had him to 45 yards. He was not as dangerous on the ground as we thought. So maybe, and this is, pre-Hutchinson and things like that. But perhaps that isn't as big of an issue this year. Maybe they've schemed some things up. We know the pocket is more compromised too. So, yeah, I'd rather face Malik Willis. Jordan Love's a better quarterback.
I'm going to push back a little bit. One, for a more reasonable thing, is that Jordan Love has had a few interceptions, and like you mentioned that. But look, that's what the Lions defense likes. If you take away Aiden Hutchinson, you take away the QB pressures, what's left for the Lions defense? Opportunism. Vulturing bad passes to safeties who are some of the among the best pair in the NFL right now, especially with takeaways, especially with what Kirby Joseph likes to do out there. So, I would like to see that. I would want to see a hobbled quarterback a little bit because it's easier to kind of, pin them in and, kind of chase after them. I also just don't want to anger the spirit of Matt Flynn, who I believe reigns eternal at the end of the day. You kind of see that spirit threatening a bit there early with Mason Rudolph. I just do not like facing backup quarterbacks watching the Detroit Lions. I don't think I'll ever be comfortable watching backups. And I feel like at the end of the day, more of who the devil is with Jordan Love. And I believe that the Lions probably have a better game plan in that regard. But yeah.
Yeah, I would say definitely that they've played against Love more than they've played against Willis. So they definitely known what his strengths and weaknesses are. And like you guys have mentioned, he's done a lot of interceptions, leads tied for first in the NFL with interceptions. So, but he's also, I think tied for second or in second in touchdowns. So, like Jerry was saying, it's boom or bust. And Detroit definitely takes opportunities. If they get those turnovers, they will make you pay for turning the ball over. So that's fine with me if he does play, but he's definitely been a little more limited in his mobile game this year. So that'll be even better with him being a little bit hobbled up.
Speaking of the other side of the quarterback matchup, one thing that kind of happened this past Titans game was kind of a bit of a surprise watching Jared Goff get sacked, I believe, 4 times. Had some issues with his ankle. He says nothing bad. He just kind of tweaked it a little bit. He had a day off on Wednesday, but was back full practicing on Thursday. But I think there's definitely been some focus on Taylor Decker and that side of the line. the last couple of weeks, and it's getting a little bit louder as far as protecting Jared Goff, which is a big measure. And I'm sure the Packers will try to attack that side of the line again. And to be clear to fans, you can't fix this by just moving Taylor Decker to the other side. You don't. It's not like he gets a cloak of invisibility and suddenly, the outside linebackers and edge are like, oh, I guess I got to attack this side now. I understand it's the blind side for Jared Goff, but you're not. This isn't something you just suddenly flip around, especially for a guy, especially when Penei Sewell's been playing right tackle for quite a while now. To throw everything like that into whack invites disaster. It's a very knee-jerk response to an issue that can only really be fixed by, at the end of the day, Taylor Decker just playing better. And I think that's kind of the big question going on here. Is there anything else to the line, Brandon, when it comes to protecting Goff? I know Kevin Zeitler back probably for this, I know he was on the injury report, absolutely going to be playing in this game, though. But where do you take all this?
Yeah, I would say when it comes to offensive line as a whole, they all need to do better. I know they've all had their weaknesses and stuff, especially Taylor Decker. But my biggest concern is if Goff's getting hit, he has fumbled the ball a lot lately whenever he's getting sacked, and he's getting very lucky that the ball is bouncing his way or it's bouncing towards the Lions side. So I've seen times where Goff fumbles the ball and goes right to the opposing team, and Green Bay seems to have some kind of luck sometimes when it comes to the fumbles and their recoveries. So you don't want to give them any extra opportunities here to kind of get an extra offensive score. The Lions are going to be scoring a lot of points this season, and you don't want to give, the opposing defense any kind of chance to replicate that. So he needs to have better protection, when he's in the pocket, but the offensive line definitely needs to step up their game for sure.
Yeah, Goff has been like Inspector Gadget, some of those fumbles. It's like he's got the ball, boom, the hit, the ball comes out, and like his arm, he must have a amazing wingspan. He just gets that arm in there, gets the ball right back. But I'm with you because eventually that's going to go the other way. You cough up the ball 2-3 times, you might get it back. By that fourth, fifth time, I mean, the other team is going to get it. Dan Campbell said it best. This is probably going to be a close game. It's probably going to come down to who wins the turnover battle. So, yeah, you can't help Taylor Decker. Offensive line for me has been a low-key worry about the future of it because beside Penei, our offensive linemen they're not ancient, but they're older. Ragnow isn't old per se. He's 29, but he's had the injuries and different things like that with the foot. So yeah, I agree with Chris. You can't, don't move Penei. He's doing fine at right tackle right now, but maybe some extra protection, scheme to the right side a little bit. You just might have to get a little creative if Decker keeps troubling with it's like the speed rushers have been getting them the most.
And obviously, the thing unstated too is Taylor Decker was still very good in setting up the run against the Titans. His only real weakness from the last Sunday was in pass protection, where he was kind of getting beat by Arden Key off the edge. But I believe I retweeted something from Jeff Schwartz that showed that Jahmyr Gibbs run. And Decker was just completely took the edge out of it. So, don't write him off completely is what I'm saying. And maybe ultimately what happens for the Detroit Lions is, yes, you do have to use your run game a little bit more. I know Jared Goff has been incredibly efficient, and I know that the offense needs to still pass the ball, move the ball down the field vertically, but I also don't think that the Packers are going to really stop all of your run game either. I don't remember their splits as far as the DVOA, but I know that defensively they come into this ranked. I believe. Oh gosh, what was it? I believe they're ranked 12th. So they have not been They've not really been a top 10 defense, and I know a lot of that does come down to that their run defense has been letting them down in a few key situations.
Yeah, and you talk about their defense this year. I think it was 12th. I was trying to pull it up. It's in that range. Then historically, it seems like Rashawn Gary has a success against us. It seems like every time we play him, he's getting, a sack, if not double-digit sacks. And then Kenny Clark as well. It seems like he has successful games against us. Now, they're good players. They have success against most teams. But, it's the same offensive line for the most part, with the exception of Zeitler. And so whatever Rashawn Gary has been doing, that might be the same. So that adds a wrinkle into the defense. We didn't talk about Packers injuries, but Jair Alexander might not play. So, that's something to look at too. That's going to weaken their defense if he's not out
Okay.
there.
Is that kind of
Yeah,
the
I would.
yeah?
I was going to say Jair Alexander being out might be a big, help for the Lions passing game because, he would want to be matched up with Amon-Ra the entire time. So if Amon-Ra has a little bit of a easier advantage for the cornerback room, it's going to definitely open up the passing game for sure.
And we're still waiting to see, and I know it was a better game for him, but we're still waiting to see, at least I know fantasy fans are, Sam Laporta get a little bit more involved in the passing game, especially after coming off eye-popping numbers from his rookie year. And I know that seeing him more involved, especially if the Packers would happen to be shorthanded in their pass protection, in their passing defense, that you might just go there. But is that really the strength for the Packers? What's the one strength of the Packers, Brandon, that you would say that the Lions need to take away in order to win this game?
It's 100% their wide receivers. They have a lot of depth, and it's not like they have a bunch of superstars. They just have a lot of good, solid contributors. You have Jaden Reed being the number one wide receiver. You have Christian Watson, the former second round pick. Even though he's kind of wide receiver 3 now, he's still contributing. He's still finding the end zone. You have Dontavian Wicks, the wide receiver 4. You even have Romeo Doubs, who got suspended because he wasn't getting the ball enough. Now he's wide receiver 2, and he's getting involved in the offense. And I know he's not a wide receiver, but Tucker Kraft, he's leading the team in touchdowns. So he is definitely another threat. So it's essentially all of the receivers. They have a lot of depth. And while Detroit has the pick your poison for running back, tight end, and receiver, Green Bay kind of has something similar to that, but it's more in the passing game. They don't have, they have Josh Jacobs, but they don't have depth behind them. So it's essentially that passing game, and all those receivers is definitely, I would think, the biggest strength for Green Bay.
I agree. I think that's the number one thing. If I could pick a second element, their pass defense has been so this year. It hasn't been great, but pass rush has been solid, and then creating turnovers. So we talk about your Kirby Josephs and your Brian Branches. Well, they've got a safety over there who actually leads the league in interceptions. Xavier McKinney, he's got 6. Joseph has 5. I believe Branch has 4. So these are 2 teams that have a knack for getting the ball. So whether it's, our fear of Jared Goff fumbling, he's taking care of the ball in terms of interceptions, but this is an opportunistic pass defense. They give up yards at times. They're not going to shut you down, but if you don't throw it in that right area, McKinney is going to be waiting on you. So that's a second strength of theirs, the turnovers as well as the pass rush.
Yeah. It's going to be a war, I think, to win the turnover battle. Jared Goff's been very careful with the ball, at least when making passes. It's been a minute since we've seen anything close to an interception from him. But if there's going to be a game to test that, it's going to be this game. All right, Brandon, I know you like your sleepers, and I think I might have just mentioned him a little bit earlier, but give it to me.
Yep, you did. It's okay. Mr. Sam Laporta, he's bound for a breakout game. He hasn't had one yet. Everyone's been waiting for when Sam Laporta going to wake up. He had the touchdown almost 2 last week against Tennessee. But I think it's finally time he's going to kind of branch out, showcase what he can do. And they didn't really have an opportunity to do much last week. The special teams was scoring a lot of points, getting on short field, so they didn't really have to throw the ball that often. Even though, Goff had a bad game, quote unquote, he went 12 for 15. So he only threw the ball 15 times. So I think this week they're definitely going to air it out more, and it's going to be Laporta's chance to kind of reintroduce himself to the league.
That's a good one. I like that. I think I've been going back and forth between Allen Robinson and Tim Patrick. Like, which one? I think it's going to be one of those secondary receivers. This offense is so creative. They didn't really need any of with the short field as well, obviously. They didn't really need their receivers, including Amon-Ra last week, but they're going to need them a little bit more this week. That is a potential weakness. And so I'll go with the Detroit kid. Let's say Allen Robinson is going to be the one. He'll hear his name called a couple of times, and he might just reach the end zone as well. So he's my sleeper for the week. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Allen Robinson.
I like that.
Absolutely.
I like getting A-Rob involved.
Detroit's own.
Hey, I was championing Tim Patrick for a good long time, so now it's time for A-Rob, I guess. Let me move into things we think we know, because this is kind of my point, and I guess I don't want to even call it a sleeper. But things I think I know is second verse a little same as the first when it comes to special teams. So Tennessee Titans were 32nd in special teams DVOA last week, and to steal a joke from our own John Whitaker, I believe we could put them down even further. They might be behind Edmonton and Toronto as well, if we could. That said, you want to know what Green Bay's special teams DVOA is coming into this game?
I believe it's 26th, right?
26th, yes, minus 2.4%. To Tennessee's, I believe, what was there? Well, I mean, much higher for Tennessee, minus 15, but I believe that you're not going to get fireworks. You're certainly not going to get starting field position averaging around like the 25-yard line. But I think I know that there's going to be a very big play on special teams on Sunday. Yet again, I won't count and say it's going to be a touchdown or a fake punt or whatever, but I think Dave Phipp, as much as he does not like the spotlight, he cooks just about as hard as Ben Johnson does. So we'll see what happens here. I like, and Khalif Raymond's been very good on special teams so far.
Yeah, I was just watching before we got on here the 9-minute compilation of the Lions trick plays that they went ahead and released today. There was a lot of fake punts and a lot of special teams trick plays in there. So you're definitely not off with Dave Phipp trying to cook some stuff up in the oven when it comes to special teams. I would say what I think I know is kind of a 2-for-1. One of it is Jordan level play. But the thing with that is he's going to throw not just one, but 2 interceptions against Detroit. He's going to try and make a big play. The first one is just going to be a great snag by somebody. And the second one, he's going to take a deep shot, try and get his team back into the game. And it's going to turn out costly. It's going to end the game. Just like Aaron Rodgers' career ended in Green Bay, Jordan Love's game is going to end with an interception by Kirby Joseph.
I like those. You guys got some good ones this week. I'm receiver-centric again. So my underdog was Allen Robinson. But Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's going to have his best game of the season. So Jair Alexander, he's either not playing or he's not going to be playing 100%. I think when we do pass the ball due to the weather conditions, due to just making sure Goff is protected, it's going to be shorter passes. And I think Amon-Ra is going to absolutely feast this game. He's going to put up huge numbers. And he's had some good games this year. And I feel like I'm not saying the Lions are putting more importance on one game than another, but I think they rely on him, when it gets the toughest, when you need that third down to end the game, when the tougher the situation, he's the most reliable player. This is such a big game to be an early season game or a mid-season game. He's going to get a lot of targets against a so-so secondary, and a top cornerback is gimpy at best. He's going to have his best game of the year.
I like it. We'll leave it there. We'll leave you with this PURRVIEW. Listen to it as much as you like between now and Sunday. And don't yell at us if anything is wrong. We're simply fools guessing like everyone else in this life. So we got a lot of football to come here. We're going to sign off because I believe it's almost time to watch Aaron Rodgers get humiliated again. In one way or another. It's a tradition like no other as we record this on Thursday. We'll keep an eye on the injury report. Things might change from what we have talked about. And as always, make sure to follow everyone here. Jerry Mallory, at Jerry Mallory NFL on X or Twitter. You guys don't have like blue skies or anything, do you?
Nope.
No, nothing like that. I'm starting to reactivate mine. But Brandon at Brandon Knapp at B Knapp Blogs, and myself, Chris Perfett at Chris Perfett on Twitter, and no decaf with a K, NODEKAF on Blue Sky. And I'm going to try to be using that a little bit more. It's something to grow. As always, we'll see you Starside.
Recording stopped.
All right. Good job, everyone. And thank you to our audience still watching us. I know we kind of took a bit of a longer break than we were used to, but that's okay.
A lot of guys talking about the pass rush, Chesterfield. Yeah, that was Thanksgiving, that game that Gary, he got the best of Decker. Yeah, he took advantage of Decker that game. So, yep, that's going to be a little rough. It's going to be a little rough. Hopefully Decker figures some things out. He's tough, man. He's mentally tough. He'll figure some things out. I just wonder if it's, he's slowing down a little bit. He's not as fast as
harboring a little bit of a nagging injury too. Like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
shit just hurts to play at the end of the day,
That's
no matter what.
that's what I'm thinking. Just because like everyone says his age, but I'm like, I'm his age roughly. He's like 30, 31. It's not
Yeah,
like he's 35, 36.
O-line doesn't O-line tends to stick around for quite a while.
Yeah.
Like that's one reason why offensive linemen are such good investments is kind of like I unlike say a wide receiver, they've got a lot longer of a shelf life in the NFL.
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, Jason Kelsey was he was what when he
I'm gonna guess 36.
he
was in
was
his mid 30s easily. Yeah.
He 36. He's going to be 37 in about like 6 days, and he just retired.
Yeah.
You know,
Jason
so,
Peters played forever.
mhm.
He's still playing.
He's still, see, exactly.
he
He's
was
got to
on
be what, 30?
Seattle.
Is he 38?
Oh, he's 40, 41.
Oh my!
I am
the,
like, I will fact check. I'm pretty sure
How
he's
long,
gotta
did,
root
how,
for
how
him.
long did Joe Thomas play?
not 40s, I don't think.
Yeah, I
No.
think he had like a solid 12 years or something like that, 13, 14
Yeah,
years.
I know he was a little more, but yeah, that's
so-
true. He's only like 39 right now, and I think he stopped playing in what 2017.
Yeah, something like
So
that.
he was a
yeah.
bit of a younger retiree.
I got to root for Peters. He's one of the few NFL players older than me. Then
Yeah, he is 42. I
Yeah.
apologize.
That
42.
that time's coming, Jerry.
Wow.
Trust me, man.
is-
I just turned 38 myself. That time's coming where we're just older than all these guys playing, and it's
Oh, absolutely. I'm pretty much there. Me and LeBron James were born 3 weeks apart, so
Mm.
he'll
Oh, wow.
he'll be 40 late December. I'll be
Do you ever
40
get that
mid
jab in your
January.
gut seeing him play with his son out there? It's kind of like what I felt when I started seeing Frank Gore Jr. and
Yeah, man.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Asante
and-
Samuel Jr. and
You got Antonio Gates' kid in college.
yeah, Winfield Jr.
Yeah.
Yep, it's funny.
Yeah.
And you start like you start looking at these guys as, you know, they're athletes, they're bigger than life, but they are kids in your mind now. The older you get, it's like, hey, this kid, this guy, you know what I mean?
I helped produce a radio show on the weekend with LeVar Arrington, TJ Hushmanzada, and Plaxico Burress, and Plax and TJ are absolutely nearing that age where they're starting to talk about their kids getting offers for
oh yeah.
LeVar more than TJ, but TJ's going to get there soon enough too, where they're, you know, talk about getting their kids offers for colleges.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of these players I've known just because I know a few coaches. I've known some of these guys now since they were like 10, like Avonte Maddox or a Tristan Jackson, some of these guys that come from the Detroit area, Donovan Peoples-Jones. I went to the same high school as them, years apart. So some of these players I'm looking at that are, you know, grown men football players now, I knew of them when they were like 10, 11, 12. It's crazy, man.
Yeah. I also work with Rich Orenberger on the weekends, and I always have to remind myself, even though he's got silver fox hair, that Rich is my age. He was born in 86, and he's got a lot more hair. He's got a little bit more hair than I do, but also he's been at the, he's been at the desk, doing radio for quite some time himself. And then who is it? Who also just got added to FS? Oh, right, Kerry Rhodes. And Kerry, Kerry's like, actually, Kerry's older than me. He does not look older than me. Look up Kerry Rhodes, former Jets. He's a former Jets safety from Louisville.
Yeah, I remember the name.
I know he makes his own music, but he's definitely in LA for the he's keeping himself in shape just in case he gets some film calls. I'll say that.
Got to stay ready, man.
I mean, man. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get out of here. I want to watch the game tonight. Once again, I would love to raid Bridget Case, but I cannot because I'm not logged in. I need to fix that at some point. So we'll close this down. Thank you to YouTube. Thank you to Twitch. Reminder, Movember is almost here. We've been planning out the stuff. I know we owe you some stuff like Hot Ones streams. That's coming. My cooking stream, coming. November is going to be loaded. So make sure to check out prideofdetroit.com. And if you're not subscribed to Twitch or to YouTube, go ahead and do it right now because we'll be going live quite a bit in November, besides just our usual podcast offerings, because usually we like to do a lot of stupid stuff. And if you donate money, you can make us do stupid stuff too. So